to equip, challenge, and empower men to expand their family leadership capacity for national transformation.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are watching us from around the world. Welcome to the Inspired Family Leader Program with Samuel A. Bakutana, your host, a certified executive coach, an award-winning leadership consultant, a global speaker and author, the CEO of Inspired Leaders International, which is an international leadership development firm that empowers leaders to transform nations, and your provincial father's union president. Have you ever seen a situation where in a family, a man and his wife were highly spirited and extremely competitive against one another? The man says, I'm going to do this. The woman says, I will do that times 2. The man says, I am going to study this course. The woman says, I will be there first before you go, and so on and so forth. We are living in a time, in a generation, where we witness a lot of cutthroat competition between the husband and the wife. Is that healthy? Is that not healthy? Today with me in studio is somebody we've had before to talk about the focus of the day, and that is marriage as collaboration and not competition. None other than a fellow husband, a fellow father, wow, a fellow kingdom man, somebody that has been here before on this program, Pastor Rod Cyrus. What a joy to see you once again.
It's a pleasure to be here once again.
Looking sharp as always.
Yeah, when I'm meeting you, I know the kind of man I'm meeting. So I better prepare myself for you.
It's a pleasure to see you once again.
It's a pleasure with me too.
Now, without taking this as a greeting.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm blessed. God has been so gracious to me.
What does that mean? How are you?
I'm really blessed. You know, when I talk about it, I'm thinking of how God has been so good to me. Without him, I would not be here. So my state is got to be in connection with what God has done to me and who he is in my life.
So how are you this evening?
Very blessed. Yes, Samuel.
You know, somebody wrote something recently that was extremely instructive.
Okay.
He said one word has killed very many men nowadays, and that word is called okay.
Oh.
You say, how are you, brother? Say, okay. And the following morning you hear the same brother has committed suicide. But yesterday he said he was okay. So nowadays I ask it twice, sometimes 3 times. No, I'm not greeting you. I am asking.
Yeah.
How are you?
How are you? And you say I'm blessed. I think I really saw that you've shared that message that actually many men are dying, and they cannot be able to share, and maybe we don't understand them, but I think they don't even understand who they are, and that I believe is the real cause of these suicides going on.
So are you fine?
I'm blessed. I'm more than okay. I'm more than okay.
Right.
Okay is just not the right word.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
More than great. More than okay.
I hear you.
Because I'm not alone. I'm depending on Christ. So.
On that note,
yes.
Let me first ask our viewers.
Okay.
How really are you? My brother, how are you? I mean you seated in that sitting room. I mean you watching us online. No, how are you? It's not enough to say you are okay. What do you exactly mean? Okay has killed many men.
Yeah.
And I want to believe that the conversation we are having today, part of it talks about that. whereby in your family, you know, you are on a roller coaster level, kind of speed of competition, and you are not fine. But every time we meet you and we say, how are you? You say you are okay. Are you really okay? Anyway, please just look into that camera, greet our viewers, and introduce yourself.
Well, greetings, our viewers. I am blessed, and I desire to believe that you better be too. Of course, to do that, it's going to take God, but I'm very happy to be here and to be hosted by the one and only Samuel A. Bakutana, and I am just so glad that we can be able to talk about man and then be able to talk about marriage, collaboration, or competition. I'm more than ready for it.
It's always a joy to have you on set, I can tell you.
I enjoy meeting you up here.
So, let's get to where the rubber hits the road.
Yes, sir.
Not where the rubber hits Pastor Road. Where the rubber hits the road.
That's a good one. Okay, where the rubber hits the road. Let's move.
What are the signs of a competitive marriage relationship? We want to first of all understand what we are talking about as far as competition is concerned before we get to collaboration. So how do you tell that in this marriage it is cutthroat competition? What are the signs?
Well, cutthroat competition, there are many signs, but you have what I would call the root from which other behaviors operate from or stem from. And the root of this competitive lifestyle in marriage is fear.
Is that so?
Yes, sir.
Fear is what?
Fear. You see, fear is just so amazing. Most people don't understand it.
Yes.
But do you know that the opposite of love is not hate? The opposite of love is fear.
I thought the opposite of fear is courage and boldness.
No. You see, you see, courage, boldness, all that, those are just only, that's the life where fear is not. That's the life of love. It takes courage to love.
Oh, by the way, I think there is a scripture to that effect. I think 1 John chapter 4 verse 18.
Thank you so much. For perfect love casts out all fear.
Yes.
And now people need to understand what perfect love is, because most people are going to say there's nothing like perfect love. You talk to many people and they'll tell you there's nothing like perfect love. So we settle for less. That is something I refused in my life. I believe in perfect love. If there was no perfect love, God would not have placed it in his word. Perfect love casts out, flushes it out, all forms of fear, because fear brings torment.
So already that means there is a possibility of having perfect love.
Absolutely.
Because God says so.
Because God says so. So what is perfect love? When you read the word of God, perfect love is actually unconditional love.
Agape.
Exactly. Unconditional.
And many people don't believe love can ever be conditional, unconditional.
Because they've never experienced it. You see, if you've never experienced something real and you're only experiencing the negative, if somebody tells you this is good, you'll say that's a lie. Because you've lived in the negative for all decades and decades, and now you're surely convinced there's nothing good.
You're used to the fake.
You're used to the fake. You don't think there's a genuine.
Yes.
So now when it comes to fear, because I am afraid of what? Fear of rejection. That's the real root.
Fear of rejection.
Yes. Why? Because I don't think I measure up. I don't think I measure up. That's one. I don't think I'm worthy. Okay? I am empty. So above all, I don't know who I am.
Yes.
And because I don't know who I am scared. Okay? That's why even when men begin in a relationship, many of them begin by putting up a show, presenting something that can be accepted, because I am scared to be accepted. So campaign time.
The man is launching his manifesto.
Oh man, launching a manifesto.
He needs this woman's support.
Now that's where the danger is. You should never reach out to a woman in trying to win her as a politician. No, because there's no love in politics.
You just
That's
made a terrific claim.
That's another world.
Yeah.
Okay? Politics is based on fear. Love is not based on fear.
So in other words, you're saying one of the signs of a highly competitive marriage relationship is the abundance of fear.
Fear. And this is how it shows up. Because I am afraid, I can't be patient, so I'm impatient. Because I'm afraid, I'm aggressive. All these are the signs. I'm impatient, I'm aggressive, and I'm always out. I fear failure. Okay, so I don't want you to really tell me I'm not man enough.
Yeah.
I'm seeking recognition. I want to be considered, I want to be respected. Do you know that demand of respect is a sign of fear?
I don't know.
Now let me show it to you.
Because I thought it's a human need that everybody would like to be respected, seen as a person of dignity, not despised, belittled,
Perceived as important. That's very true. But you see, take a look at Jesus, the greatest man that ever walked on planet Earth. He never at one time demanded to be honored, to be respected. Because respect is like being perceived as being important. Okay? Look at John. In the Gospel of John, Jesus comes in and they're having the Last Supper and everybody is gathered around. And everybody feels they're important. Everyone, I'm the best. I ain't going down there. Everybody's dirty. Nobody's willing to take the position of a servant. Nobody. Everybody's dirty. And guess what? Somebody had to take it. And the one who took it was Jesus. And why did he take it? Because he knew the Father. He knew that the Father had given him everything. So he knew who he was. He knew where he was secure within himself. He knew who he was. And because he knew who he was already important. When you know how important you are, you will come down and serve. When you're seeking to be important, you will seek to be served. Jesus, you're looking for validation from external forces. This is where most men come out and they say, I gotta be respected, I gotta be respected. A man needs respect.
I see them using that force, on YouTube. Oh my, you see a guy showing the six pack and the biceps and the triceps and he's looking tough. And
No. That's just the external. He's like a lion on the outside, but he's a kitten on the inside. A real kitten. Okay? He's so empty. And this is what brings in the competition. Because look at the word competition.
Yes.
When you look at the word competition, it is about a condition where somebody is able or striving to gain superiority over another.
Trying to gain an upper hand.
Upper hand over another. God never created us to compete. He never created us to compete. Competition comes out of the fear. The only competition we can have is not against each other that is pure. It's the competition against our old life.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
I'm not going back there. I'm going for the crown of life.
I have to be better today than I was yesterday.
I have to be better today than I was yesterday.
Not I have to be better than him or her.
No, I have to be better than my wife. I have to be better than my husband. I have to be better. No. That shows you're seeking validation. You're seeking to be important. You're seeking superiority over another. You shouldn't compete and seek superiority over another. You should not.
For what you already have.
You're trying to look for what you already have. But because you don't know that you have it. When I don't know who I am, I don't know what I have.
And how can you ever know who you are until you know, or unless you know whose you are?
Thank you. So now I need to go to know whose I am. So I go to God. When I go to God, I discover how much, because this is what God does. He accepts me unconditionally. So what am I receiving? I'm receiving perfect love from God.
So what I'm hearing, therefore, is that when you want to know that this marriage relationship is competitive in nature,
Yeah.
it will be based on fear,
Thank
And as
you.
a result of fear, there will be a manifestation of impatience, a manifestation of aggressiveness, a manifestation of wanting to gain an upper hand on one's spouse.
On one spouse, you want to subdue them.
Yeah.
You want to subdue them. You will manipulate them. You get it? Manipulation. And this is where most couples are. Manipulation. You always seek to be important. Okay? People that are in love, when I love my wife, I don't seek to be important. I'm already important. That means I know who I am.
I actually seek to recognize her importance.
Exactly, because I know who I am, so I show her that she's important to me. But when I don't know who I am, I show her how valueless she is to me.
And you know, people use exactly the words you've used in form of a question. You hear somebody say, "Do you know who I am? Do you?" I saw one asking the same by the roadside. I think they knocked each other, traffic.
Yeah.
And the man came out and said, "You, how dare you know? Do you know who I am?" And he was asking a border man, a motorcyclist, who was brave enough to say, "For you, do you know who I am?"
No, you see, if somebody ever asks me, "Do you know who I am?"
Yes.
My answer will always be, "Do you know who you are?"
Oh, wow.
Because the reality, by the time I ask you, "Do you know who I am?" it's because I actually even don't know who I am. I'm just so empty, I'm seeking importance. I don't know who I am. Men who know who they are, women who know who they are, they never ask such a question.
So now, looking at these signs of a highly competitive marriage relationship,
Yeah.
what now makes me curious is, where does all this come from? What causes competition within a marriage arrangement?
What causes competition between a marriage arrangement, first and foremost, is because we don't even know what marriage is. And we don't know the purpose of marriage. When you don't know the purpose of a thing, you'll abuse it, because competition is abusing marriage. Marriage is not a contest to see who's going to come out first, or who's going to come out better, or who's the greatest of the two, or who's greater between the two. No, marriage is not like that. Marriage is not a contest. So when competition comes in, you don't know what marriage is. Okay? So marriage has a purpose. The purpose of marriage is not to have sex. That's a benefit. It's not to have children.
It's a benefit,
That's a
not a
benefit.
purpose.
No, it's a benefit, not a purpose.
If you don't mind, please repeat it. Somebody may have missed it.
And this is where we miss many times.
Sex is not the
purpose of marriage.
It is a benefit.
It's a benefit of marriage. It's not the purpose. Because if it was the purpose, once we've had sex, you go, I go. Purpose is fulfilled. It's not having children. If it was having children, that's why you find many men say, "Well, we're not having children. I got to go and look for them outside there." Because they think marriage, the purpose of marriage is having kids. No, that's a benefit. That's a benefit. The purpose of marriage is to glorify God. And how is God glorified? By two becoming one. So it's a reunion. The purpose of marriage is a reunion.
Yes.
Two people becoming one again. They were one before, and now God pulled out the woman. Then now he says, come together again and be one. Why one? Because there is one God, to portray the image of the one God. Why one? That one actually refers to Jehovah God. He created us for his own pleasure, not for us. Okay? But as we obey him, we find fulfillment. We find pleasure.
So this competitive spirit is caused by a misunderstanding of what marriage is.
Thank you.
Not being able to know its purpose.
Thank you. So now we know it's caused by a misunderstanding of what marriage is, and then you don't know its purpose, and above all, you don't know who you are. I'm telling you, most people today can, you see, the reason, when I know who I am, I can't compete with you. Because I know who I am. Competition, you see, look the way we were created, the way we grow up. We're taken to school and we're given education. But the first thing that we don't understand, that even in education, our teachers don't even know who we are.
Of course.
Because they never created us.
Definitely.
But they give us knowledge.
Yeah.
Okay? And the first thing is that as we're taking in knowledge, they teach us competition.
Oh, yes. Oh.
Now we start the competitive spirit.
I
Look at
remember they
this.
used to announce the first 5 and the last 5 every time.
Now imagine you are among the last 5. You begin thinking, I am nothing.
Yeah.
But this is the teacher telling you that. This is the teacher telling you that I am nothing because I always come among the last 5. Now, when you begin perceiving that, you begin thinking that is you. No, those are grades. That is not you.
Your image and your identity.
Thank you. Distorts your image, distorts your identity. And because you don't know who you are, you develop a competitive spirit. Because you don't know who you are, I begin comparing myself with Samuel.
But how do we not do that when the world we are living in practically is competitive at every stage? Promotion at work comes from competition. You compete and beat others. You produce the highest sales that quarter. That's why you are made the head of sales, the department. Being an ED is competition. You get into an interview room. You are 5 of you. You speak better. You communicate better. You bring up ideas. You are hired because you competed and you were the one who beat all these people. Everywhere you go, it is so how will we not compete?
My brother.
Yet the whole world we are living is, our progress is based on being competitive. We get medals because we compete and win. Gold medal, bronze medal, silver medal. Olympics is what it is because of competition. Business cutthroat is what it is because of competition. Capitalism, where competition. How are we going to not compete when we even reach at home?
The challenge is this. I love the way you've brought this question. You're showing competition everywhere.
It's just
But you know, look, because you're striving to gain superiority over another. You get me? You want to subdue them. You want to be the best. But there's one thing. There's something you've talked about competition. For example, you're trained to do something. You're trained to do this. You're trained to do law, biology, medicine, all these things. That's what they train you. But there's something that God created you for. God never looked at education when he was planning your life. He looked at the gift he placed in you when you were born. And the Bible... No. The gift. The education can only sharpen and polish the gift. But it's the gift. The Bible says the gift of a man maketh room for him, not his education.
Proverbs 18:16.
I love you, man. Not his education. The gift. Education is good. I have no problem with it.
Oh, yes.
But the gift. You see, in the gift, you don't compete. You'd be. For example, I'll show you this. A snake will come in and slither. You know? A bird will fly.
Yeah.
You ever seen a fish will swim?
Yeah.
You ever seen a fish competing with a bird? If it competes with a bird to fly, everybody will say the fish is a loser.
Because it can't fly.
Because it can't fly. But the reality, the fish was never created to fly. You can't say it's a loser. It's just in another field.
It's not in its environment of thriving.
Thank you.
It's being judged by the capacity it was not supposed to have in the first place.
Thank you so much. Now, when this whole competitive thing, you can compete and get a medal and commit suicide.
Oh, yes.
Why? Because competition is not in your blood. It wasn't created by nature. What really brings fulfillment? You compete, you get a medal, and you commit suicide. You get an Oscar, you commit suicide. You get to drugs. Where's the problem? You're the best, yet you're hooked on drugs. You're the best, you can't stand with one woman. When it comes to sex, you want to grab everyone you can. What is wrong with you? It's not about the competition. Competition can show that you have achieved, but achievement does not define you. You have been created in the image of God, and you better know who you are, that who I am is what settles me. I know who I am. I'm a child of the Most High. I am loved. For example, I am so...
You can actually win, but when you have lost...
Exactly.
You can
Oh,
win
I love the way you
when
put
have
it.
lost.
When you've lost. Now,
You have won the argument with your husband and lost your marriage.
because the competitive spirit is always argumentative, it enjoys debating all the time, and that's what you're saying. Okay, I'm so afraid because I'm seeking superiority over you. Because if I'm a man, I'm trying to prove I have to subdue you. But nobody's created to subdue the other. You're not created as a husband to subdue a wife. But look, for ages men have believed, I have to subdue you, I have to subdue you. And yet they've never succeeded. They become more and more empty. They become totally useless. They hate their own lives. They never settle. Life becomes meaningless to them.
They don't enjoy the relationship.
They don't enjoy their relationship, yet they are subduing.
Yeah.
Because they are not created to subdue, they're in competition. There's got to be collaboration, but now they're in competition.
You know, what you've just talked about has reminded me of somebody who was courageous enough to open up to me recently.
Yeah.
On WhatsApp, we were chatting.
Okay.
I had put something on my WhatsApp status, something to do with single parents and all that. And this was a single mother. So she came into my inbox. And this is not just a single mother, but this is a single mother who is a feminist, who is a very
I understand.
voracious,
That's very deadly.
you know, corrosive. So she comes to my inbox and she says, well, Sam, you know what you just posted is true. Then she went on and said, I am going to quote her verbatim.
Yeah.
She said, you see us in public making noise, but in private, we are sad and sorrowful.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me tell you some. This whole thing about even feminism, oh, that's competition.
Of course it is.
They have been subdued and oppressed, so they try to fight back.
Oh yes, revenge.
It's revenge. And they think the man is their enemy. But the reality is the man is not even their enemy. The male is not their enemy. It's their ignorance of who they are that becomes their enemy.
Yeah, because when you look at me right now and you say, you are a stupid man, but I know I'm not. I mean, I would actually pity you. I would know
Exactly.
that you are going through some tough times.
Tough
You actually
times.
need to be helped.
Thank you.
But today I am the object of your venting and anger. That's why you are calling me a stupid man.
Yes. And that's how it is. So this feminism thing is also out of fear. So there is no perfect love in them. Let me tell you, when you know how much you are loved and accepted unconditionally, you're perfected. You discover who you were, that I am valuable in the eyes of God. I am loved, I am accepted, I am worthy. That's what I tell people. Loved, accepted, worthy. Law. Loved, accepted, worthy. Okay? And I say it over myself. I say, that's the law. I am loved, I'm accepted, I'm worthy. So every time I bring it out and I practice it over myself, and I say, this is who I am. It's so easy for me that when I reach out to my wife, I am not trying to make her love me. I have so much love for her that even when I was reaching out to get married, I wasn't looking for a woman who would love me. I was looking for a woman I would love.
That's why my 21st book that came out a month ago is titled Someone to Love. Someone to Love. The 7 pillars in the quest for your beloved marriage partner. Someone to love.
Thank
Not
you.
someone to love me.
Thank you. You better get this book, Someone to Love.
Oh, yeah.
Not someone to love me, but someone to love. Man, this is
What
very
you go
good.
out looking for is what you will get.
Exactly. I went out looking for somebody I could love.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why you
So-
got someone who now loves you.
Exactly. You see, the reality is there's nothing. This competitive spirit is so bad. It is so bad. It shouldn't be in our marriages, but it's there because we don't know who we are. So now I try to subdue you. Was I created to subdue my fellow man?
No,
Was I created to subdue my wife?
not at all.
Was I created to subdue and manipulate my husband? No. So that is where the problem is.
So I hear you. So misunderstanding of marriage
Yeah.
causes the competitive spirit. Not knowing the purpose of marriage
Yeah.
causes the challenge.
Yes.
Identity crisis, not knowing that you are you are loved, accepted, and worthy. Once
you.
you don't know this,
Yes.
there will be competition.
There will be competition because you want to be important.
You want to be important.
Yeah.
Yet you already are, but you want to feel important.
You-
Let me make a confession.
Okay.
And I was having this conversation with my wife 2 days ago.
Yeah.
More than 10 years ago, I was somewhere and this lady sat down and boldly looked at me and said, Samuel, why don't you make me feel like a woman? And this was not my wife.
I know.
Make me.
Feel like a woman.
So I was having this conversation with my wife
Yeah.
2 days ago, and we
Yeah.
were making jokes about
Yes,
it. And my wife
yes.
said, so she felt like a man or what? It was quite a moment.
I know. She felt like a man, make me feel like a woman.
So at this moment, my brother, when you look at this that is happening, this competitive spirit in many marriages,
Yes.
in your view, and quite briefly, what would you say is the effect of that spirit on our marriages nowadays? What is
The effect, the impact it has brought is, I would say, and I can say boldly, destruction.
Destruction of the marriage, the person, the
Destruction of both of us, destruction of our children, destruction of the marriage, because there's nothing good. This is what happens. I never become somebody by tearing down another.
as a powerful quotable quote. I never become somebody by tearing down another.
No, I never. So in this competitive spirit, imagine I want to subdue my husband so that I may feel good. I may feel important, because this is what the enemy tells you. If you can subdue, then you will feel important. Because we are created with that nature to have authority and to be able to subdue, but we were not given it to subdue each other.
And I think scripture is clear. Genesis.
Yes,
Let us make man
in our own image,
Our image.
and let them have dominion.
dominion over what? Over 3 spheres. Dominion over the fish of
Thank
the
you.
sea.
The
over
birds of the air.
birds of the air.
Yes,
And every living thing that creeps on the ground.
on the ground.
I am sure your wife is not fish.
Thank you.
I am sure your husband is not a bird.
Thank you.
I am sure your spouse is not something that creeps.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
To
Yes.
put this in perspective, the authority and the dominion mandate we were given was not dominion over each other, over one another.
Thank you.
but over the air, the water, and the ground.
Thank you. Now that we don't have dominion over, now that we choose to have dominion over one another, every evil is going to happen. I have seen couples where a woman begins to earn money and she earns more than the man does, and the next thing she does is, now this is my opportunity to be validated.
Let me give you the exact words a certain lady told a friend of mine
Okay.
after she had been given a job as the ED of some big institution in this country.
Okay.
She went home that evening, and I got this from the very husband,
Yes.
with tears in his eyes,
Yes.
in my office on Mawanda Road, Kamocha, at Inspired Leaders International on an afternoon.
Yes, sir.
He said when she came back home, she jubilated and said, I have gotten the job. I am now the new ED. And now I don't need you.
That's verbatim.
Verbatim.
Now, and that is where you see now the competitive spirit is still in. So when she's elevated, okay, she still doesn't know who she is. Okay, she's just doing employment, but she doesn't know her worth.
Rural
She
urban
doesn't know.
excitement.
Rural urban excitement. You see, you come up with all this, you still don't know who you are. And in many cases, we have not created an environment for her to discover who she is.
Yeah.
Because if we as husbands create that environment, it begins by us knowing who we are.
Indeed.
When I know who I am able to help her discover who she is.
Indeed. And a man who actually doesn't know who he is will be insecure.
Thank you.
A wife to an insecure man is to be pitied.
I'm
because
telling
that
you.
man will totally disempower that innocent wife.
You see, that's the thing. Women become disempowered. Women become subdued. Anybody, because of this competitive spirit, the effect is that you'll begin subduing each other.
Yeah.
And in most cases, many men believe, how can I need a woman I can control. You hear that talk? I can't marry a woman I can control. You hear even some teachers saying, never marry a woman who's very educated. That's ignorance. That's ignorance of a man speaking like that. I mean, I tell men.
Sometimes we even abuse ignorance. I think that's something lower than ignorance.
What would it be, my brother?
Don't know.
You know, never marry a woman who's very educated. Never marry a woman who has more money than you. This is not competition. And you know, there's something I tell couples, that we are not actually partners. We are one. This is not a company.
Yeah.
Have you ever found a company?
Marriage is not a joint venture.
No, it's not a joint venture where people say 40-60, 40-60, 50-50, 70-30. No.
It's actually a sole proprietorship, but whereby sole is 100 plus 100 equals
Thank you.
100.
Thank you.
1 plus 1
Thank you for
equals
putting
1.
it. Thank you for bringing it. We're not partners. We all work together. We love each other so much that I can be able to do this and you do the other. We are not partners. We are one entity. Like you said, 100 and 100 equals to 100. Something like that can never happen in company law.
Yes, of course.
100 and 100 equals 100.
Even in basic mathematics,
It doesn't
1
happen.
plus 1 can't be 1.
That's why
the
we need.
Pareto mathematics.
It's the Pareto mathematics.
I see we just have about 14 minutes to the end
Oh
of this
Lord,
program.
have mercy.
I would like you to, therefore, now take us to the world of collaboration. We've talked a lot about competition.
Yes.
Let's now take it to the world of collaboration. Looking at all this that we've talked about, why should couples embrace collaboration in their marriage?
You know, it's just something like this. Let me say it this way. Why should couples embrace collaboration? That's the only power created in marriage.
What do you
You're made to work together as a team. This is what the Bible says. For Jesus declares, Matthew 19, and it says, therefore what God has joined together, let no man put asunder. God does what? Joins together. Actually, that word join in the Greek is yoke. What God has yoked together.
like tied together tightly?
Now, you see in Africa we have what we call the oxen and the yoke. Especially if you go in the east, those people use a lot of ox and they put a yoke.
their land.
And they have this wooden thing that they put around the animals.
Yes.
It's called a yoke.
Yes.
Okay?
And often they are two
There are two.
joined
Oxen.
together by that yoke.
That yoke, that wooden piece.
Yes.
Okay? When they are together, I'm telling you, they don't come together to do what they want.
They actually
They-
come together to do what the farmer wants.
Thank you.
The owner.
The owner. We are not joined together to go and do whatever we want. We are joined together. We are yoked together for the purpose of the owner of marriage. We don't even own marriage. Marriage is owned by God. We are stewards.
People claim that they have revelation, but I think this is bona fide revelation. We are
Let me tell you.
yoked together not to do our own things,
No.
but to do the will of the one who yoked us.
Who yoked
joined
us?
together.
Exactly.
Wow.
We are not yoked together to do our own thing. I don't like this. I don't like this. I'm tired of you. I'm walking out. That's being childish. That's being ridiculous.
I need to give you a stick.
I need to give.
Speaking now, I need to give you a stick. You need to beat somebody.
I wish I could. You know,
Wow.
you see, we yoke together. Collaboration.
Oh,
Okay?
yes.
We yoke together, and it's that action of working together to produce something or a result.
Yeah.
So there's something that the owner wants when we are yoked together. So we are not yoked together for our own purposes, but for the purpose of the one who owns the yoking.
I hear you.
So if we are yoked together for the purpose of the one who owns, that means now we're acting together, not for our own ends, but for his end. And there is so much strength. You see, when these oxen have their yoke in, and the farmer comes, the owner comes, and puts the cut behind, not even a cut. These cows, animals can be so strong that they can even pull a vehicle.
Oh, yes. Because of the synergy of the two.
Thank you. If people realize the power of yoking, collaboration, we can do so much. Nothing, the devil cannot beat us. The devil cannot overcome our marriages. He does that because we don't understand the yoking. We are not together. And for yoking to happen, collaboration to happen, there is one thing we need to understand. First and foremost, a few things we need to understand. First and foremost is that for yoking to happen, animals must be equal.
Equal in terms of strength, physical, what do you mean?
They must be equal. When you look at the animals,
Yes.
they're equal. The Bible says you do not yoke unequal animals. For example, an ox and a donkey. No, it's unacceptable.
Somebody who is in the light and the one who is in the
But
darkness.
somebody in the light and the one in darkness. That means if all of you are in the light, you're equal. So as a man, I am not superior. Woman, you're not superior.
Yes.
We are equal. Now look, people
Neither
say
is any of you, inferior.
neither is, thank you. All of us are equal in the eyes of the owner, and the owner yokes us. He says you're equal, so no one should be greater than the other or lesser than the other. We are equal. Now, because we are equal, we are able to come in together, and we do not seek our own interests. We seek the interest of the owner. We never came into marriage to do our own thing. We came into marriage to do what the owner, the one who yoked us, wants.
But if you don't have a relationship with that, let me say, so-called owner, quote unquote, so-called owner, if you don't have a relationship with him,
Yes.
if you have no connection
Yes.
with him that is
Yes.
conscious, deliberate, and intentional, if you don't have that kind of a relationship, how will you be thinking of what you are talking about?
When I don't have such a connection with the owner, this is what happens. I am totally disconnected.
Yeah.
Competition is my only way out.
It becomes the goal.
That becomes the goal. Because now I not connected to the owner. I don't even know that the owner is the one who created me. So I don't know who I am.
I actually own the marriage myself.
So I begin owning the marriage myself, and I begin running it based on my own understanding. And the next thing I get, it crashes.
So I move away from being the steward of this marriage. I become the owner.
You become the owner. And when you become the owner of what God has not given you ownership over, you're a thief.
No wonder it becomes a burden.
It becomes a burden and you want to run away. Marriage is hard. Marriage is hard.
Yeah.
Well, you're owning it.
What
It's
do
not
women
yours.
want?
What do men want? I've given them everything. You
What
give
haven't
him.
I given him? I've monkey styles in the bed.
You do all that. You see, all that is just.
competitive.
You're still competitive. You don't know who the owner is. So there's no collaboration.
I wish we had 3 hours.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
As we almost bring this to a close,
Yes.
Could you share maybe some of the quick practical ways how couples can, going forward, activate collaboration? Just give some practical
Number
ways how
one,
we can activate collaboration.
connect with the owner, because that's when perfect love is established.
And when you say the owner, we are directly saying have a relationship with God as somebody who's
Intentional, like you said it.
Yeah.
Intentional and purposeful relationship with God, as somebody who's married. Who's married. So you don't just say, I'm going to go to church, or the woman goes to church. Both of you learn, find a place where you can be taught who God is. Then develop. From there, you got to realize you will learn that God owns it, owns the marriage. Therefore, we can't run it based on our understanding. We got to run it based on what God says. Books like based on what God has said. And then when you do that, the next thing, because that's acquiring the knowledge, the next thing, remember, we are equal. Do you know, Sam, that can look like something easy, but it's a huge problem.
Yeah.
Because where equality is not, there's going to be competition. There's going to be strife.
And I think one of the reasons why equality is frowned at
Yeah.
many times is because the proponents of equality did not differentiate between equality and similarity.
Thank you for that.
So because they are confusing equality with similarity, those who believe that we are not similar are now fighting those who are saying we are equal, because equality was promoted as similarity even of roles, of responsibilities, of everything. So
I'm a woman. I can also climb a tree. I can also do this. We can do similarities. Thank you. But equality is just simply being everything God called you to be and accepting it.
Of worth.
All of us have worth.
Yeah.
Okay? All of us are important. No one is less.
Okay.
So these are the practical ways. If you can practice that importance, okay? And you say, I am important. All of us are important. Because equality was the first thing that Adam saw. That's the first revelation he got. And then God said, for this reason, a man shall leave his father and mother and be united to his wife. Because he saw and said, this is flesh of my flesh, bone of my bones, shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Acknowledged equality, God introduced marriage. So these are the practical ways. And as a husband, as a wife, learn as a husband, as a wife, be vulnerable. Practice vulnerability.
Do you know how difficult that is for many men? Maybe.
You see, the reason it's difficult is because they don't know who they are. You see, Sam, if I don't know who I am, I will always have a facade.
Yeah.
So if I am to remove the facade, a mask, if I'm to remove the mask and all this, you're going to see me. And when you see me for who I am, you're going to reject me, because I don't believe you'll accept me for who I am.
You know, you've reminded me of something that happened today. I will not get into the details of who this was.
Okay.
But today I was somewhere at a youth conference.
Yes, sir.
And one of my neighbors was struggling with cough.
Yeah.
And her and I knew that she was struggling with cough. So
Yeah.
when she reached there, she whispered to me and said, let me first go out. I said, to do what? To cough. I said, no, here, cough. It's not wrong.
It's all right. It's normal.
And it gave her freedom. She coughed and she was okay, and she moved on with life. So vulnerability, we fear to cough, yet coughing is okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, let me equip vulnerability with, like coughing.
Yes. You got to be vulnerable. You see, without vulnerability, there's no connection. And without connection, there won't be collaboration.
Yeah. Wow. This is it. I would like you to kindly give your parting shots, especially maybe to somebody who is right now living with a competitive spouse. It could be a man, he has a very competitive wife. Like the one I know who was going to actually go to a seminary to study to be, a pastor.
Yeah.
And when he mentioned it and said, I'm going The following week, the wife rushed and picked papers for her to be the one to go, and she went. So, or it could be a woman who has a very competitive husband. What do you say to that man or that woman as your parting shot?
As my parting shot, this is what I can say to you. Marriage is not a contest. You are literally destroying it by going into a contest. And let me say this to you. As a man, you love your wife. Where love is, there's no contest. So where hate is, that's where contest is. And I challenge you, there is no contest in love. Okay? So whatever it takes, you're a husband, you're a wife, whatever your position is, let me say this to you. There's no contest in marriage. Discover who you are. Know how much you are loved. People who know who they are have no time for competition. They know I am important. I am loved. I'm accepted. I'm worthy. Every time you want to compete with your spouse, remember, you're failing in love.
Wow. There is no contest in a marriage. Instead, there is context.
That's a good
everything in a proper context. Put marriage in its proper perspective. You are one.
Yeah.
What's
Competing
the
against yourself?
Work together, partner together, love each other, plan together, seek mutual agreement, seek consensus with one another, look in the same direction, help one another. If it is to fight, don't fight against one another. Fight together against what is coming in between you, whether it is, whatever it is. We are one. Marriage is about collaboration, not competition. Remember, just like our guest today said, marriage is not a contest. Marriage is supposed to glorify God. So let us be yoked together, husband and wife, to serve the purposes of the farmer who yoked us together, the owner of the garden. We are but just instruments in the vineyard. Let me go home and love my wife.
Just one wife. That you need the leadership skills of a general.
Yes.
To lead an army of one woman.
So we have to take a